everybody, welcome back to a Bible show. Today I think it's going to be a very, in my humble opinion, pretty interesting, informative video. Um, Today we're going to be viewing gender dynamics, intersexual gender dynamics, um, from the from implying from excuse me from with MOBA themes in mind, and MOBA is a multiplayer online battle arena. So, master game, deep fundamentals. So today we're gonna be diving into deep fundamentals. So, there's a lot of things I've been thinking about recently. Of course, every human thinks about a lot of things. Um, but in terms for this video, for this concept, so we've established before that. Women want to be loved, men want to be respected. Those are the core premises of the game. And so I'm hoping at this stage now, I think everyone understands that everyone sort of has that core concept in mind. If you're a woman, the easiest way to be loved is to be beautiful, young, feminine, innocence, innocent. And youth and innocence often go hand in hand. And men want to be respected, and that's very nuanced, but at its core, pretty simple. Just a man to be respected in all facets, but sometimes not a lot of men know all the facets. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I discussed it, but I'm pretty sure I discussed it once or twice, or a good amount of times. But really, it is understanding women. Probably the number one thing, because if you understand woman, you don't understand that she wants to be loved, which is like a big part of the equation. Maybe like 50% of the equation, and the other 50% is understanding sort of that you wants to be respected. Sort of understanding those dynamics really puts you ahead of the rest of people with that knowledge. Something sort of unlocks in you when you sort of understand that it's hard to something about you changes when I guess it's a reflection of your beliefs, how they project into the outside world. When, like, I think, for example, if someone believes that the sky is red, it'll sort of come off in the way they carry themselves somehow. Maybe a look in their eyes, maybe their gait or mannerisms, if they believe the sky is red. And if you sort of understand the game, if you understand sort of how God created us, sort of course, for women to be helpers and men to be leaders, men to be the image bearers of God, you sort of have a big head start, and it really comes off in how you carry yourself, and it's intuitively understood, or not understood, perceived by the women around you, and that's all there is to really all there is to being respected as a man, and really focusing, prioritizing things that really matter, that makes you more respected, and taking less attention, taking attention away from things that don't necessarily matter in terms of being respected, like being too handsome. I think looking healthy to a degree, like having like just I think a lot of people say like tan skin is like attractive, especially in Western countries. And I do agree to that to some degree because it makes you look healthy, like compared to someone with paler skin. But I think people understand healthy people when they see healthy people. But definitely taking looks maxing, which is what a lot of young people are into nowadays. Sort of, it's all about looking really healthy. Um, it's looking like a very genetically fit individual, and it helps with sort of the connection kind of origin, which we'll probably discuss later more about the that's sort of the origin of performance. Well, not all the authority origin is sort of the origin of performance, but the connection origin is sort of the performance origin, just sort of with the nature of connection and trying to maintain connections. But so we have these fundamentals established, and now we're sort of going to lay down a basic framework for for how for how for how courtship usually plays out on a high level. So this is like a high level courtship, high level dating, high level romance, and I'm going to using a lot of concepts from um, League of Legends, the MOBA that I play the most. Actually, it's the only MOBA I really play. I play Dota, I dabble in Dota a little bit, but and when I break this down, I think a lot of League players are probably going to be like, this is pretty interesting. Like this is like a cool an interesting take on it. But I think a game that people like have a lot more respect for in terms of skill at the moment. Not at the moment, probably for the rest of history is chess. And if there's any chess player that can do a breakdown on this, I love to hear that. I think that would be like a really skilled chess player. That'd be absolutely fascinating. So we have sort of the objectives in a MOBA. So I'm building sort of premises for this sort of for this concept. So we try to destroy the enemy base, and usually it's a 5v5. And there's structures, minions, um, like buffs involved, terrain, uh, objective control. This is straying, definitely straying a little bit. Actually, everything is like it's like that quote from Karate Kid 2011 when everything is kung fu, everything is game, everything is God, everything is about being a good person, everything is everything. So 5v5 structures, minions, buff involve champions, and of course, with all that in mind, all these tools are all sort of, we have the layout of, I guess this is the map, sort of everything that's this is like the map, the layout of the map, and what's involved in the map, and I guess that's about it for League. Yeah, I think so. I think I covered it. It's just a 5v5 with things to buff you, passive gold income that comes in, and gold from killing bases. You get items, upgrade your champion, try to kill and the other champion, the enemy team's trying to kill you to try to prevent you from destroying their base. And likewise, I say it like I made that sound too rudimentary. Um, and yeah, that's what it's a 5v5, and whoever destroys the enemy team's base first wins. But courtship, it's more so a 1v1. It's like Aram in League of Legends, all random, all mid, like a 1v1. But I think it's totally now for the sake of this, for the deep fundamentals. Um, it's totally acceptable to say you can still destroy a base in a 1v1, even though the game mode is not available in League. But so we have different themes that play in League. So we have champ select, people choosing their champions. And so how this correlates to real life, this is sort of like the start of the game. Well, actually, I guess the start of the game is queuing up. Queuing up. Queuing up. That's sort of like actively looking for a game. And this is, I think I mentioned this before in a video a while back. Attention is the start of the game. Like knowing both parties, knowing they exist. They exist is the start of the game. Listen. And I suppose with queuing up, that could be like well, whoever is active or inactive, I guess that's sort of I don't know. I'm so bent over this point. Whoever is active or inactive, I guess for the sake of arguments, we can assume that everyone is an active player. Or well, there's a lot of single people nowadays, so that's a fair assumption for the Gen Z demographic. And then we have and so once people queue up, so in this case, we're queuing up for 1v1. Then we have champs, like people choosing their champions. And now in League, a very common thing that we have is to like have a champ pool. Have a champ pool of around 3 champions. And these are like the 3 champions that you're the best at. And why people recommend this is that if you're on a champion that you're not skilled at, there's a chance, even though you know how to play the game and play like the different phases of the game, there's a chance that your attention is probably going to stray off towards learning the champion and trying to hit the abilities that you'll probably mess up, like die to ganks or just die randomly or make a lot of mistakes. That's going to end up costing you a game. And this is sort of a lot of problems I see in the dating world is sort of due to the theme of a champ pool, which transcends into courtship. So a problem that a lot of guys have is that too situational with openers. And I'm going to be honest, like just getting back into cold approach, it's on the random when I do it, I don't take it that seriously. Well, for the sake of teaching the content or making an informative video, I have to take it seriously so I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think every guy really struggles with this. Like if you're coming back to the game, or if you're sort of new to the game and you take a lot of sporadic breaks, like your momentum breaks, you become too situational openers. Like so this is like what happens. You'll see like a lady, and she just like maybe you're at an amusement park. You see a lady. She seems very open to talk, but you're trying to look for like the perfect thing to say to as a guy, like what guys worry about, not to not come off as creepy, to not come as desperate, to not come off as needy, but at the same time to come off as cool and charismatic and charming and all that stuff. And that creates so much hesitation that a lot of people sort of blow their opportunity. So we have like opportunity 1, like the perfect opportunity. Opportunity 1, the perfect opportunity where the lady is really available to speak to you, maybe very interested, and you blew the opportunity because most of the time, this happens probably 90% of the time with all guys, most guys. Just the hesitation. Like guys, they decide to spin the block. Okay, maybe I think of something better later, Maybe I think of something even more perfect later, and so opportunity two. And this time, opportunity two is not as good as opportunity one, and this window is a lot smaller. And now it's like you're second guessing yourself. Do I really want to make this approach? Do I really want to talk to this person? And that adds even more hesitation. And then by opportunity three, it feels like it's kind of forced, like yourself as well. Of course, sometimes there's this is just sort of just the beginning opening sequence. Um, there's excuse me, depending on proximity and all that stuff, like there's so many opportunities. Like if you see the same person over and over again, there's always many opportunities. But in situations like this where it's like just a random, like you randomly meet someone at an amusement park, it was like there's only a couple of opportunities, and being too situational with your openers destroys so many opportunities, as well as execution and deliverance and delivery. And so being two situational openers, taking us back to League, really just really lay the like a strong fundamental basis. Like you see the enemy team comp is like all range champions. So to counter that team comp, you want to choose a range. Well, they're all enemy. They're all five. They're like all five mages, and so the perfect situational counter to that is like uh, someone with like a spell shield or a spell blocker, and someone that's also ranged, because you want to go into melee matchup, because melee versus range is just guaranteed to lose, almost usually guaranteed to lose in like early game. Is such a bad matchup, because what can you do to someone that's trying to hit you from that far away? But so you choose that champion, but you go into the game and you're so unskilled at a champion. You're constantly dying to gigs, and even in the champs, like you're so hesitant to pick, because you understand that you're so poor with that champion. Your quality of skill is so poor with that champion. So there's just so much hesitation there that like maybe in the meantime, instead of trying to choose the champion, you could have picked like a more comfort range champion that you're good at. And even though it's not the best champion for that matchup against that team composition, is a champion that you're confident and comfortable playing, and you can probably maybe win lane and go even. It might not be the best champion, but you can perform well on it. And taking this back to courtship, I think every guy needs like three openers that you always use, that three go-to openers that you always use. And this is sort of like the three champions that in your pool that you always refer to. And openers are so big, because after you use your opener, like every guy sort of knows what they want, and sort of interaction with a woman. Every guy sort of knows what they want. So after the opener, it's pretty easy to transition into like of other sequence of lines, or other into whatever thread or sequence that you're interested in taking the encounter in. But it's important that you have your three openers first, so you have something that you can say with confidence and boldness, and like not to because with what happens, like at a game we talked about dying to jungle ganks and performing poorly, but what happens in real life with just unpracticed openers, or openers that are too situational, is that there's a high chance that you come off as like awkward or weird. And if a woman doesn't know you, it's pretty much game over, because what can you do to salvage yourself from that as a strange man? It's so hard to come back from that. So that's why it's important to have three openers. It's just so you don't come off as that very awkward, just sort of you don't make the you don't just game over, like destroy, lose the game from the very beginning. So I guess three openers, and for like three different situations is like meeting someone for the first time, seeing someone again, and maybe a third one is an all-around one. So meeting someone for the first time, you could say hi, Bob. Nice to meet you. Seeing someone again. This one's a little. I to be honest, I kind of struggle with this one because I the things I have in my mind seem sort of. There we go. There we go again with the situational, being too situational. We're trying to be too perfect. Okay. I do have one that. I do have one for the sake of this video. Small world. Small world. And all around with is nice weather. So these might seem a little like so rudimentary and simple, but when you say these like over and over and over again, your delivery is going to be extremely on point, and you're going to be able to get your gauge. Going to be able to gauge the feedback. I'm not. It doesn't mean you're gonna get a positive feedback, but you're gonna get a feedback that's not an instant game over, to see whether the conversation can continue. So I think even even nice weather, like using nice weather when the weather isn't nice. I just like some of these like openers, like these three openers here. Some of these seem very just like two like box cutter, like cookie in a box, like a box and two cookie cutter. But trying to be so situational causes the problems we mentioned earlier. But having these down pat, it's gonna allow you to really gauge of course, take your attention to the next sequence, the next thread of events that you want to, the next sequence that you want to take the encounter in, and this will help you. This is super important. So just to really get yourself in the door and land, allow yourself to even play the laning or the early game to begin with. So I guess this is more so early game. I guess this is champ select. This is basically champ select, choosing a good team composition. And so it's interesting that sort of, in terms of MOBA themes, that having a good opener, even though that sounds like execution, is actually more so correlated with a theme of selecting your champion in League of Legends. So I guess to me it's very interesting how this is sort of like more of a composition compared to like execution. So I think these are three really solid openers. I think you're always gonna meet someone new for the first time. You're probably always gonna see someone again, and you can have an all-around one where you don't know what to use. And just again to rehash, even if the weather's bad and you say nice weather, you might come off as like a little weird, but just like the way you say, like if you say that enough times, like hundreds and hundreds of times, like the way you say it and the confidence you say it, it's just a perfect way to start an encounter. And and then once you have practice enough, you sort of know you can direct your attention towards the next line of events, the next sequence, the sequence you want to take it in after that. And so that's sort of champ select. And then I guess the three phases left we have is early game, mid game, and late game. So you have your champ select down. So having your opener, and I suppose I guess that takes you into early game, which is like laning phase and all that stuff. And this is like uh, just like small talk, getting to know you questions, I guess trying to get a date, trying to get contact information, and trying to get contact information. I may be trying to get a date. Maybe we can pull that in there. Trying to get a date. And that's sort of basically it. And this is sort of basically like once you understand the game, once you sort of understand like once you understand a woman, that sort of makes you a respectable man, like we mentioned before, and that sort of opens you to this phase. So without game, you're sort of closed off from even playing. Basically, it's sort of like one of my mentors. I look at it as a mentor. He probably doesn't actually. We spoke a couple times, but a sort of rejection versus dejection. So by not knowing any game, you sort of put yourself in a dejection category when you're not even considered an option. But when you have the game, you're sort of put in the rejection category. So you're sort of allowed to play the early game, mid game, and the early game to some degree. But you have a hard time getting to the mid game and late game. But when your game's on point, you can always. It makes. I guess it makes. I guess obvious. I guess of course the game a lot more interesting because you got to play. There's a good chance if you really want to play all three phases of the game: early game, mid game, and late game. So we're talking this other guy's side of things, and I said it like in conversation, but I think I'm gonna still talk about it from the guy's side of things. And so now we're at the mid game. So mid game, a lot of I'm not sure what percentage of guys get to the stage nowadays in America, but I'm gonna say 30 or 40%. So mid game is now like I think if you game at some point, I think a girl can already tell that likes you to some degree in the beginning, but now we're sort of in mid game where the game's getting kind of serious. Everyone sort of has their items and opposition and everything, and now but a lot of mid game is like especially what a lot of mid game is like a lot of it is about the lady in this degree. Lady is trying to figure out if you really like her, so as to not like get screwed over. So I guess mid game is all about the sort of the woman testing you. And the big question here is, does this guy really love me? And this is sort of the core quintessential element of the mid game. And I'm going to sort of explain sort of the chain of events that plays out in the mid game that should happen if you get past the early game. So sometimes you can transition to the mid game real fast. If your early game is great, you get a bunch of kills, you snowball real fast, you quickly get items. That depends on your level of skill, but so it seems like it takes a while to transition from early game to mid game, but it depends on the speed that you want to take it. So mid game again, the woman's testing you. Does this guy really love me? So what are the signs that a woman is testing you? So one is that she's she's around you with no makeup. So she's trying to see here if you really like her with just basically who she is as a person without makeup. And if you fail this test, it's basically, I think you can still push through, but it's sort of game over. She's gonna realize this guy doesn't really love me, doesn't really like me that much, and then it's sort of game over because then she's gonna lose like a semi bit of respect for you. I don't say like respect like even if you're like a medical doctor or something. I'm not saying that kind of respect, but in terms of the game, she's gonna lose a slight bit of respect for you, like be a tad bit colder towards you, and it's gonna make you probably love her a little less. So in terms of we're talking about just the energy between the two genders, and that sort of friction there that might just destroy. That just might be the end of the game. And in terms of League concepts, MOBA concepts, maybe that's not even a surrender. That's just like your base is destroyed. Um, I think there's a lot of wise men that come before me. I forgot to establish this earlier, but basically, her objective is trying to, like when she destroys her base, she's trying to she's trying to put herself in a relationship. She's trying to get you to commit in a relationship. She likes you, and you're trying to get her to submit to you in a relationship. That's sort of you destroying her base, and sort of it's interesting. Whereas in League, there's always a winner, but well, of course, even in courtship, there's always a winner, but in courtship, you can win simultaneously, where she can get commitment out of you, and you can get her to submit to you, and that's we have nowadays. Well, in the past, that's of course the institution of marriage. I tried to pause for a bit there, give that a pause to not come off as too condescending, but nowadays we just have like modern days we have some form of some sort of relationship, some form of living together, some form of however the relationship operates. But that's sort of the base. Each the male base and the female base, sort of like what it looks like in terms of the concepts and ideas. So she's around you with no makeup. She's disrespecting you. She's disrespecting you. But like, and maybe she'll tell you to go, tell you to go fetch. No, that's so rude. That's so out of pocket. Pardon me. Tell you to go, and I've never heard that. Tell you to go get some. Tell you to go do something. So if you really love her, what should happen is that you just you're so enamored that you go do it, or you just you don't mind because you're so in love. That's what should happen. But if you get like easily annoyed or something, or just like super like pricked off, ticks off, I think it's automatic tell that you don't really like her, and then that friction could be the end of the game for both players. And besides that, it's just like maybe getting judgment from other. Actually, is that getting judgment from other women? That's more like early game. So mid game is like So does this? I think maybe we covered most of the bases. Like she's trying to find out if you really love her. I think that's about it. Uh, that's all I can think of. Maybe just, I mean, that's all I can think of at the moment. But that's sort of how the mid game plays out. And I think that's about it. Actually, I think I realized that's why she's about it, because after like one of these tests, she sort of realized like this guy does love me. So lovely, quite lovely. And after that, we have reached late game now. And late game, everyone has all their items. Everyone's basically in top form. In courtship, sort of both parties know they like each other. I mean, definitely by late game. Um, Fireworks could go off at any moment. It's a super tense situation. Or it could actually, it's not even, yeah. Late game is always usually a tense situation in League. One objective, one team fight can really cost you your base, cost you the game, and late game is sort of now it's like this is like maybe where the true skill comes in: strategy, tactics, tactics, positioning, objective control, and in courtship, like as a guy, like you're trying to position, even like you're trying to position yourself in a good and like put yourself in an advantageous position, and it sounds bad, but even like in terms of like the most honorable relationship, marriage, even in that institution, you sort of always want to put yourself in the in an advantageous position, because it's of course natural for guy, as well as it's gonna make her it's gonna make her respect you the most, as well as it's gonna allow you not to be taken advantage. Well, it's gonna allow you with some ways out when you're in advantage of power, because when you're in a sort of have an advantage, there's a lot of things you can do before your power runs out, before you give your power away. So in this part of the game, late game, we're sort of either maybe if you're if you really want to rush the relationship, you can push into you can push it that way. Or if you want to take a relationship this way, you can push it this way. It's all about sort of like positioning here. Fighting for every inch. Just like the game, sometimes the game ends in mid game. Sometimes the games ends in mid game, where it's like when she realizes that you love her. Sometimes people just get married, or just get in a relationship right off the bat. Sometimes it happens, but late game is like one party. It usually happens in League is like when a couple deaths happen, like it's not too serious in League when people die. It's like when people make mistakes, blunders here and there, and the game is delayed to like 30 or 40 minutes. And in life, sometimes like you make a couple mistakes, or like maybe someone is like moves to a different state or moves to a different country. I mean, moving to a different country, that's a little bit unfortunate, but maybe gets a job, and there's just some sort of friction, and so you sort of get delayed to the late game, where sort of even though the love is there, sort of the love you have for her and the respect she has for you now, the increased respect now that she knows that you love her, just some life or whatever blunders the situation got you into the late game, and now it's like sometimes the circumstances in life, maybe you read a new book and your philosophy in life changed, and now you really want to get married at get married at 30, 35. You decided that you want to wait until later, and then that's going to influence your strategy, your tactics, and your positioning. um, and of course her objective is probably maybe I'm going to take this in like a non-traditional route. Maybe she doesn't want to marry you, but maybe she wants to just actually I'm not sure what. Okay, let's go say she wants to marry you. Let's go say she wants to marry you. She wants to marry you. So she's trying to lock you down. Now she's trying to position herself. Objective control is like just like there's sometimes there's key moments in the late game. Just like important things, like just important things, maybe important times, important situations, important events that you really got to just team fight like crazy, or just play like have some sort of insane play, and really control that objective, it's going to give you a big buff. Like maybe you have to um, change your, maybe the woman has to change, just like move to a different state, the guys move into a different state, just really controlling proximity, just positioning yourself like that. So like her goal, not her goal in the late game, she's trying to position herself to really get married, but this is why it's a little dangerous. Although she's playing well, as in she's playing to her desire, her intention, sometimes it's that risk with the late, that risk, but she's putting herself out there, can make her come off like just be a little too emasculating, and that can like, there's so many mistakes you can make in late game. There's so many mistakes you can make all across the board, but just once you hit the late game, it's just it can be super dangerous for both sides. Like things could just end super quickly. Like one side can be declared victor super easily. At this stage, I'm trying to think, is it, I think at mid game is the best stage where both people can come out as winners. But at this stage, for people to come out, for both people to come out as winners, it seems like it's gonna be messy. It seems like, to me, off the top of my head, it seems like it's gonna be messy. But I think it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible with just gotta be an insane, like a insane player, and that's sort of, yeah, I think that's basically it. And after that, we have the end of the game. You know, we have 3 different game states. We have so we have victory, so victory, either side victory, or a double victory, or actually double loss. So these are sort of the 3 situations that can happen. Like one side can end up as a landslide winner or just win by margin. It could be a double victory, both parties get what they want, or it could be a double loss, both parties don't get what they want. And that's sort of how courtship basically plays out from MOBA themes. And just to review, so we queue up for a game. Two single people, looking to hopefully 2 single people looking queuing up to look for a relationship. Basically, this is part of like knowing each other exists. That's queuing up. Champ select is basically the guy choosing his opening line, and hope it should be definitely something consistent, so you're able to open up into the next sequence. And then for women, champ select is probably just the right outfit. Probably this, the right outfit, just the right look. Probably gotta be perfect makeup like the first time you meet, and then of course once you transition to mid game, that's when the testing starts. So I should have mentioned that earlier, but for a guy it's your opener, and for a woman it's your opening look. Okay, cool. This is something to add. So a lot of women, they make this blunder. They're like too situational with opening looks. Like they go for a look that they're not too confident in, or maybe they feel uncomfortable in, or whatever. Actually, I might dive into more just to be more informative. They go with the look that makes them look not good. Happens so many times. Or they just go for a bad look, or a look they're not used to, and that just affects their execution, affects their confidence. If they're in a bad look, oh, maybe I look unattractive today. Maybe this guy doesn't want to talk to me, and you're just closed off. You're interested in a guy, like you're in a queue, you're in a champs, you're queuing up for the game, and once the approach happens, or once the approach is about to happen, just something happens, just some blunder or error, according to the woman. Maybe I think she would consider that a blunder, and it's just sort of not able to play the game from the start, sort of lose from champ select, lose the game from champ select. And so women, I would probably suggest 3 opening looks as well, like 3 opening looks for 3 different situations. Maybe like I'm not an I can't um probably a woman. Actually, I'm not sure there's a woman. I I've never met a woman this skilled. Actually, I think I take back what I said. I don't think there's a woman this skilled yet, but I think might exist soon, very soon. So I think you need a bombshell look and try to knock it out of the park. I think you need bad weather look when the weather is bad, and then there's a casual look, so you can fit in and just be. There's a comfortable look, casual look, so you can fit in and be confident at the same time. And trying to stray from these, like I think a lot of women are so situational, like can be too situational with their opening look, and that can cause so many blunders, lack of confidence, so many mistakes. Just like with guys, that are openers, you try to be too situational. Like, if I comment on her, I'm gonna make this. I'm this off the top of my head. If I comment on her bracelet like this, maybe it'll be so quirky and cool. But uh, you're from afar. You're trying to look at her bracelet. You're trying to see, is it shiny? Like, maybe I should say it's shiny. And then by the time it's up, like, she's already gone. And that happens a lot of time. A lot of time. So yeah, that's sort of like the update on opening looks for women. And then we enter the early game, and then early game is pretty simple. I think everyone can execute an early game. Sometimes, like like in league, sometimes losing the early game can be very costly. Like probably destroys most of the game, and I think destroying an early game for the guy, I think compared to league, it's hard to mess up lightning phase early game because this chain of events is not is very easy with all the is fairly simple compared to the laning phase and mechanics and things that I keep track of in league. So this chain of events is hard to mess up. So this shouldn't this should be really hard to mess up. And then we transition to mid game. And why I didn't put a mid game for a guy, because a guy you can usually tell off like right off the bat, like especially like depending on the skill level, like if a woman, like if this is the woman that he wants to pursue, like right off the bat. This is why like usually it's the woman testing the guy, because if testing if a guy really loves you is I think she can perceive. I think she can perceive, like maybe in the beginning, maybe you have a strong early game. This is another interesting topic, another theme from League. Maybe you have a strong early game. Maybe the type of the guy that can fall in love, or maybe you just fall in love. It's not fall in love quick. Just like maybe you have a big heart. You just when you love, you're all in, all out, and so maybe she can tell, and it can transition you to the mid game really fast. But she still has to test you because you haven't seen her without no makeup, or she hasn't disrespected you yet. So then we transition to mid game, and this is where some difficulty can happen if you don't really love her, or just pursuing her just to pursue her. So another thing with champ select is I guess queuing up. I guess I'm not sure that's queuing up or champ select, but it's choosing talking to a woman that you really love. I think it's a woman that sounds really strange, but I think guys can usually tell when they I think can I think it's usually based on beauty. Like a lot of beautiful women have it nice in a way, because like every guy loves them. But that's why it's always good to try to talk to like top top brass women in terms of looks, because usually all guys love them, but they're not too hesitant on whether a guy loves them or not. But when you talk to them that are like average or above average looking, it's like they're very picky, because they're picky because they know that not all guys love them, which is a very interesting dynamic. That's above that the most beautiful woman, in some degree, though they have a really high skill floor to sort of enter and maintain a relationship. To play the early game, it's not too hard because all guys love them. So I guess that sort of being beautiful makes you really makes you have a really strong early game, because I guess everybody's in love with you. So that's a pretty interesting concept. Then there's a lot more that can be delved into that. That's pretty interesting. And so then we have late game, and this is sort of if like there's no victory after the mid game, which happens a lot nowadays. You go into the late game, and that's when sort of like a I guess that's the display of the. This is sort of like a display of discipline and skill. This is like a display of discipline early game, and then late game was like a display of skill, which is like pretty fun, pretty cool. And yeah, hopefully this is like basically what happens in any relationships from sort of the MOBA themes. And hopefully it ends in a double victory for both parties. That'd be lovely. But sometimes a double loss or a victory, a landslide victory or a marginal victory on one side, or like a medium margin victory. But I think this framework is super important to understand. Even forget about league or MOBA theme. Just the early game, mid game, late game, just sort of, and just like the beginning phase or the champ select, choosing your opener, it happens sort of across like even besides like I mentioned chess before, like I think there's a good amount of games where that sort of happens, that sort of transition happens, where there's like some sort of causality. There's a chain of events that happens, and you can usually always categorize those in early game, mid game, and late game. And yeah, anyone that's like really a great chess player, I'd love to see. I'd love to see some sort of content like breaking this down. I think that'd be extremely fascinating. If anyone has any experience with this, that'd be extremely fascinating. And yeah, hopefully, I guess the biggest takeaway from this video, I think, is openers. A lot of guys struggle with openers, and a lot of women. I don't think women struggle too much with opening looks, but they have a problem where they can be too situational, and that can just destroy their confidence, or just maybe they just maybe they just don't look like they usually do, or it's just too situational. And what happens in a true situation is that, of course, for a guy, the hesitation makes the woman lose respect for you or blows opportunities, and for a woman, it just bad looks just blow opportunities. And also actually maybe the same thing, makes a guy love you less. So it's sort of like a correlation, sort of like a reverse, some sort of dynamic there, similar dynamic on both sides. And that is basically the deep fundamentals of the game, basically. Excuse me, I said basically thrice now. And just mastering these three. So the first stage is getting your game on point, like being like not even a hyper masculine man. I guess that happens when you understand women like head to toe. But I guess for the sake of simplicity, like just being like having that X factor. Once you have the X factor, that opens you up to play the mid and late game. But without the X factor, that really leaves you with the it leaves you at champ selects and early game, and it's hard to get past early game without the X factor. So like if you're talking to like a very very beautiful woman, depends like of course her age depends on like what she wants, etc. etc. But just having the X factor really makes life makes relationships so much more just like the mid game and the late game is extremely the mid game is very beautiful. Wow, I think that could be a separate video. It's just mid game is something extremely beautiful. It's mid game is a gift from God. This is a gift from your late game is late game can be very very sad, but it happens. But late game can also be a great display of skill. But just knowing all these stages and mastering all these stages, being like first step. That's not necessarily a step. That's sort of like self upgrade. But just mastering all these steps, like mastering champ select, mastering early game, mastering mid game, mastering late game, can really improve just your skill as a player. And I think there's a bad rep on like a player just like understanding women, and like women like are usually all like all women are born skilled, like they know how to like handle men, especially righteous eye users, the hyper righteous eye users, and the most beautiful women. They're very skilled at handling men. Um, but just like what really got me thinking about this idea is just having sort of a ranking system for players, because like I don't think a lot of people appreciate just sort of really the skill involved, especially with the woman in course. So like how much skill and discernment that she has, and how much sort of skill and discernment there is in this. I think this is really like this is a very skilled thing to do. Probably it's a low, it's an extremely, it's almost like it's an unlimited skill ceiling, but a pretty low skill floor to get into. Like you can just like you can talk to any girl, like approach any girl, but it's an extremely high skill ceiling to really really talk to like the most desirable in society, as some would say. And I think um, I think once everyone, like maybe if there's more talk about this concept, I think people can start judging start judging people by skill and speed in terms of how well they're able to execute these stages. And I think it's really going to be great for men, because men, it's like iron sharpens iron in Proverbs, and it's going to really be great for men to really push each other to become better people, and just really grow each other and really help each other's lives. And yeah, it'd be so cool, like if there was like a ranking system for like top players in the world. That make the world a much more beautiful place. And it sounds like it doesn't, because just of the bad reps on players, but it definitely will. It'll bring a lot of just like so much more growth. There's going to be so much more growth with competition, and there would be so much new amazing talent, and so much new amazing amazing displays of skill, amazing displays of like amazing feats, just amazing achievements. That's gonna raise the level of guys. That's gonna really I think a lot of guys struggle with is sort of like just the bad rep that men have gotten from the internet age, just like all the serial killers, all that stuff. I think with this like sort of framework in mind, or with this sort of like guide, in my humble opinion, on how to like build mastery, I think there's gonna be there's so many great I think as men we can overcome that sort of bad reputation that men have gotten and really just change the game. It's gonna be less friction in champ select and early game, and a lot more just happy relationships, definitely, with more attractive men, with this system. So with this framework, a lot more happy women, and just when people understand the beauty of the system, they're gonna understand. It's gonna give them an inkling that there's some sort of creator out there. It's like a small hint. This is like a small hint, and more people are definitely gonna find God from this, and this is gonna be extremely amazing for this world. So that is deep fundamentals. Hopefully everyone watching can master everything. I haven't done there's so much like, of course, so much onus is on the guy to like initiate. There's not much to say for the woman side of things, but besides champ select, and queuing up like woman, like if you're 19, 20, 21, like try not to waste your, with all due respect, try not to blunder your best years, and that's about it. And hopefully can really gain mastery over life, gain mastery over relationships, and really be a amazing player that we should take the bad connotation of that word and really understand the display of skills, what's gonna really push people towards understanding God in a unique way.